Good afternoon or good evening, everybody. Welcome to today's training on creating fundraisers, or as more aptly named, anchors of impact, how to fundraise at sea and beyond. My name is Mark Krebs. I'm a gold qualified consultant with Team Sunset, part of Team Empire, Team World Explorer, and Team Rising Tide. With me today, I'm really excited to introduce two of my very close business partners and friends. First off is Derek Juhl. Derek is based out of Britt, Iowa. He is the owner of Crown Juhl Travel. Derek is one of our newest $1 million bookers. He is also on Team Sunset with me. And for those of you who are on Team Empire and specifically Team Sky, I wish to introduce to you the illustrious Harvey Wall.
Yeah,
Yeah,
y'all
who is
already know.
shamelessly,
Y'all already know.
yep, who is shamelessly plugging his business today, which is great, and we love Harvey.
And I'm blurring
Harvey,
the fact.
Harvey is Harvey is part of Team Sky. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, Emily Jimenez is his mentor as well. Um, Harvey has been with us about 2.5 years. Derek is close to 2 years with us as well.
Almost
And
three.
repping Pizza Inn today. So, but we wanted to bring this training to you guys because this was born out of a dream that I had. So, the last 2 years, I have been working with Special Olympics South Dakota and volunteering with them at their summer games here in Vermillion, South Dakota, where I live, which um is where the University of South Dakota is. And the last couple of years, I've been an official for soccer and I've been a timer for their track event. And I've also had a booth at their new community barbecue fundraiser, just community event right before the torch relays final leg and their opening ceremony. And so I got to thinking, how can my business, 72 and Sunny Travel, help to get some more fundraising dollars for Special Olympics? And the one thing I thought of was, what about a cruise where we could get folks who are involved with Special Olympics on that cruise and offer it to Special Olympics, where I would create the all the marketing materials, I would do all the booking for them. They wouldn't have to lift a finger and they would reap the benefits of that those fundraising efforts. So I decided to take it one step further from there after gathering all the necessary information. And I already work with a group called Autism on the Seas. And they provide accommodations and for those who have intellectual and non-physical and those who have physical disabilities on board mostly Royal Caribbean cruises. So I want to pair a sailing up with that group. And so I started to take a look at schedules. I reached out to Special Olympics South Dakota to see when the best time to look at these sailings would be between their fall and their winter seasons. And I found out when. So I started to put things together. And I asked Derek and Harvey if they would be interested in getting involved in this project because this was going to be something that could get really big. Because I thought that if this worked for South Dakota, why not expand it to other areas? And in my area, it'd be a 5-state area. So Minnesota, North Dakota, Iowa, South Dakota, Nebraska for my 5-state area. Well, with Derek living in Iowa, I if it worked, I would hand Iowa over to Derek and he could create his own 5-state region. Well, Harvey wanted to jump on board and take care of the North Carolina area. So things started to accelerate a little bit with this idea. Another one of our agents on our team, Ron Perry, some of you may know him. He's a gold agent and a 2-time Iatane card holder. He got wind of the idea because I was talking to him about it, or one of us were. And he wanted to take the idea and run with it in Tennessee. So this is something that we're working on already in different areas around the country to start raising money for nonprofit organizations. So what started out as a small idea for maybe 100 cabins, 50 to 100 cabins to raise money for Special Olympics has now turned into something even bigger, and we're branching it out to other nonprofit organizations. Harvey is trying to work with the Miracle League in North Carolina. I'm working with smaller nonprofits. I already use a different type of voucher for resort stays to fundraise for other events, such as Susan G. Anthony for the Cure, or I donate them to people who are helping to raise money for those who are fighting different types of illnesses. Most recently was one for a gentleman who just found out that he had a brain tumor, a very large brain tumor, when he collapsed at work. And that voucher that I donated to a live auction raised over $3,100. That brings my fundraising totals with those vouchers alone to over $25,000. So I mean, there are different ways that you guys can help fundraise for your communities and not only bring awareness to these organizations, but bring credibility to your organization, your business, as one that wants to give back to the community in different ways, but also to make money for yourself in the process, but can also give back some of that money to those organizations as well. Because remember, you're going to also gain clients from some of these bookings and residual bookings as well. And so you can earmark some of that back to those organizations based on how you gain those additional clients. So, and that's what we're here to talk about today, and to take your questions about how we even got started with this and how the process actually flows, that you guys might have, and about what to do when you maybe met with opposition, because we were met with opposition right off the bat with Special Olympics South Dakota. So, and you will be met with opposition. So Derek, why don't you go ahead and talk about how things went with SOSD at first, and then we'll talk about that opposition we were met with.
Yeah, so initially we met with kind of the subdivision of the SOSD, told them about what we were planning as far as being able to give back to their organization, and they thought it was awesome, loved what we had to say. Mark and I met with her, I forget her name, but she ended up Dill, yeah. She ended up passing it up to her boss, and he said he loved the idea, loved what we were trying to do, but they just passed on it without really giving us too much of a reason or any reason at all as to why they decided not to go with us. I'm guessing just kind of gut feeling. It was probably because it was the first one of this type that we're doing, of this big, this stature. But yeah, you get knocked down. It's like Rocky said, it's not how hard you can get hit or how hard you hit. It's how hard you get hit and keep moving forward. So that's what we're doing here with this. We struck out with SOSD, and I don't even really think it's a strikeout. I think they're probably just lying in wait to see what we end up doing, how we might be able to progress with North Dakota, Iowa, different regions. They just didn't want to necessarily be the guinea pig. So I think once we get the first one going, they see it was a success, then I think we'll be able to bring them back in as well. Another, unrelated to SOSD or Special Olympics, another great opportunity for these charity cruises, another place for you guys to look at in your own local communities or churches. Churches have a bunch of old people with tons of money. You'd be able to give back X amount of dollars to their church. You reap the benefits of the commission. It's a win-win. Everybody wins. And I've reached out to a couple churches in my area. A car show that goes on that I sponsor that's a nonprofit. Mark knows how much I love golf. I'm going to reach out to the local Iowa chapter of the PGA to see if they'd be interested. The opportunities are really endless. It's the only limit's your imagination.
Yeah. The limits really are your imagination, because I mean, I work with a group called Emily's Hope here in South Dakota, because some of you know what happened with my wife several months ago. She passed away from substance use disorder complications. She actually took her own life because of it. And it's hard living with that. And that's what Emily's Hope is here to help provide, is that support, and hopefully that support for people, to help them know that there is help out there for them if they want to get it, especially for these preventable types of deaths. So, and I'm giving back 10% of my gross sales this quarter. Well, I started back in May of this year, and then I'm giving back there, and I choose the charity of the quarter for my business. So 10% of my sales go back to that charity. So Special Olympics South Dakota, even though they turned us down on the fundraising cruise idea, 10% of my sales for the fourth quarter of 2025 is going back to Special Olympics South Dakota still. So I do it every quarter. I just started doing it every quarter. So that's another way that you can give up or give back. Excuse me, not give up. But then you do have other ways. What was that, Harvey?
I said, get back up there, Rocky.
That's right. That's right. And that's what you have to do. I mean, you're going to get rejections. Plain and simple. You are going to get rejections. Mm-hmm. But it's from those rejections that you can learn. Just like from every rejection that you get as a travel agent when you're planning a trip for somebody, you can learn from that and fix your approach at how you're coming back at it. So
I just had an idea.
Yeah.
Just thinking, it doesn't have to be like SOSD is pretty large. Some churches are pretty large, but from a marketing standpoint, you could have a charity be a sponsor, not necessarily have enough people to go on one of these cruises, but you could use that as a sponsor and then market it as you normally would. And then say, part of that marketing campaign, say, hey, part of the proceeds or part of the charity donation from Royal Caribbean or another cruise line, I know Norwegian does it as well, goes back to such and such charity.
Yep, absolutely. It would be and when we're talking about the cruise lines doing it, so it would be Royal Caribbean, it's Carnival, it's Norwegian. I'm working on finding out about for sure for Princess and for
they're a subsidiary of Carnival, but
right, but they're I'm waiting to find out from Jill for sure, our BDM.
Leah had a question.
What everything is with them, because the word is lost on me right now. It would be a different type of program than what Carnival runs, because Carnival runs it per person. and not per stateroom like Norwegian and Royal do. But like, so because they know that a lot of families go on these cruises, but you would want to look at it for even like Virgin Voyages and see what they would want to give back, because Richard Branson is big at giving back, wanting to give back to the community. So, and if he heard something like that, or Virgin in general, they would probably want to give back to a charity as well, even though it's an adults only cruise line. Maybe it's a charity for missing adults or missing people, that stuff like that. Yes, Harvey?
Uh, Leah had a question,
Yep,
and
so did Brenda.
and so Leah says, or she's asking about a step-by-step plan that we can present and plug into, because she has a few nonprofits that she's in conversation with. Uh, as of right now, Leah, we have a little bit of stuff. The biggest thing is, one, you're going to have to figure out what, for the step-by-step plan, one, you're going to have to need to figure out who we're going to try and go after. As far as the next step, that would be, who do we need to get in contact with? So for the Special Olympics, the way we did it for North Carolina was, I went and found my local, I guess you'd say, local chapter with the Special Olympics. I went to them, then I went to the surrounding areas, and after me and Mark got finished with, I'd say it was probably about 30 minutes after we got finished with our presentation to the board members of my local Special Olympics group, they gave us the email for the head of the Special Olympics of North Carolina. And in which case I sent that message on Tuesday. So I guess I'll have to call them tomorrow just to make sure that they got the email. And so we're identifying it, we're finding where to send it. Me and Mark we didn't have a nice presentation like what he was trying to have in here. We were straight talking it. I mean, just Clint Eastwood, guns blazing in that thing.
Yeah, and that's what happened with us for South Dakota as well. We
And
don't have a presentation set up as of yet.
but
Now, and that's going to all depend on what you're trying to set up for, too. I mean, we don't even have a template because it's going to have to be adapted for every different type of charity.
Yeah, just so different.
and I saw on here somebody had, was it Leah that said she had went on Chat GPT, or was it
That was
Brenda?
Brenda. Yeah.
Yeah, Brenda is saying she's tried using a few different things with Chat GPT. Yeah, so Brenda, and we're gonna be putting our contact information into there, but at the end, so that everybody has it, so that you can get in touch with us or get in touch with me
So we've
too,
got
and I
some
can get it to everybody else.
we've got
But
some emails that we've sent out. I mean, that could kind of be a template of kind of how to
yeah,
start the conversation.
yeah, or at least give you some options here. So yeah, we can get what we've sent out in the past, and you can tailor it. And we're working on coming up with stuff too that we're using, but again, it needs to be tailored depending on what you're working with.
I would say, if we're making, okay, if you're making a presentation, let's say you're not one who can just free flow it. Maybe you're talking to somebody who's more visual. And Derek brought a good point up in this when we were kind of tweaking the email for the head of the Special Olympic North Carolina. He was saying to put an emphasis on what they were getting for free.
Mhm.
And Mark can tell you when we were doing that meeting with the local chapter where I'm at, the woman's face looked confused and she looked almost disgusted
Yeah.
when Mark was trying to explain it, but it didn't register to her what he was saying because he told her, he said, what can happen is when we go on these cruises, you're going to get part of that money back. And she said, her look was just like that. I remember she did. And I think she was trying to hold it back because it was like this. And then she kind of did like that. And she said, so we're just going on these cruises and like, we're not getting anything out of it. And she said it and her hands came up like that. And I was like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah,
And
no, I had to save that and I did. And I'm like, no. So you guys will be getting a donation back based on the number of cabins that are sold in this group block. Plus, we are going to, plus, we also receive a certain number of cabins, complimentary cabins, based on the number of cabins booked that we're going to give to you to do what you wish with. So you can either give them to financially challenged families or families in need, or we can assist you in raffling them off, or you guys can raffle them off and keep the proceeds of those raffles.
can hold that one right there, Mark. What
Right.
he just said, that I can tell y'all was the turning point of talking with the people over here in Durham because he had mentioned two times before about if they wanted to go or if a volunteer that did a lot wanted to go, they didn't really seem to respond to that. And
Yep.
so while we were talking, he mentioned on that third time around when they were asking the questions, Mark had said, you don't have to use these if you don't want to. We can auction them off or raffle them off. Y'all can literally do whatever you want to do with them. And while he was saying that was when I came in and said, on top of that, depending on how big the groups are, we can get credits to that can go towards either if it was specialty dining or if, let's say, we wanted to have a mixer on the ship, we could have a mixer. And then I was explaining to the lady how RC has silent disco sometimes. And I was explaining to her how we could possibly get the whole nightclub shut down for a few so the families can come in and hang out with each other. And then all the athletes could come in and be in a silent disco. They can adjust the music however they want and everybody can still talk. And when we had mentioned that, and then, or when we had mentioned the free cabins being able to raffle off, auction off to make them more money, that's when them burrowed eyebrows actually started loosening up, and it was kind of clicking a little bit. And she was like, "Aha!" And so from that point on, the whole conversation was different. And it was all because she didn't recognize, all she heard was everything we're doing, they're only going to get 5% of it. And even though Mark had mentioned everything else they could possibly be getting, it didn't register until he took the word cabin to volunteers or them and switched it to cabins can be auctioned or raffled for more money is when she started really getting excited about it.
Yeah. And then we also said in that too that our group would also provide a donation in our name as well. Because the way the donations work is that based on the number of cabins, the cruise lines will provide a check to the travel agency on the cruise line's behalf, but in the name of the travel agency to that charity. And so what we're doing is off of our commissions, and we'll get to this point here in just a few minutes or in just a couple of minutes. Out of our commissions, because it's all three of us working on this. And based on the numbers, we were going to donate an additional amount back to the charity. So back to Special Olympics North Carolina or to South Dakota. On our behalf as well. Basically like a matching donation type of thing. So
Kathy asked if we should be contacting the cruise line first or the charity first.
Charity first, because you want to get the ball rolling with them and see if they're interested in something like this. And then the cruise line. And Leah, you would not want to do a cruise conductor training for the charity itself, because that's something that we need to know and they don't. So you can tell them the benefits of the
Credits.
Of the credits, but only the travel agent, as a travel agent, do we need to know what a cruise conductor credit is. So, and you can give whatever you want to back to your charity. So that's a great question, Andrea, about would you plan to travel with them on that cruise? And we're going to talk about that as well here in just a second. So the way we're planning and talking about on these Special Olympics cruises that we're doing. So Harvey, Derek, and I are planning on traveling on these cruises with any of them that we're working on. And right now, the plan is if North Carolina goes great, we're going to be working on Florida. Now, this is a very large group that we're working on. So if you're not comfortable with groups, guys, and all three of us are group experts. Okay. Harvey has done groups. Derek is a group guru, and groups are my specialty as well. So, and we all have little specialties within groups as well. Derek loves doing bus trips. I love doing the whole group, the group hotel stuff as well. Harvey is a cruise whiz. So we all work really well together. But within groups, you have a lot of moving parts. So for cruises, especially coming out of a state like North Carolina, and we're looking at cruises going out of Miami. So we've got to coordinate flights. We have to coordinate bus transportation from the airports to and from the airport, excuse me. Mm-hmm. And in that case, we have to coordinate different stops along the way to Raleigh-Durham Airport for this first group, or hopefully throughout the state of North Carolina. And then from Miami International Airport to our pre-night hotel. And then from the hotel to Miami Port. Then we coordinate getting everybody onto the ship, hopefully together, because it would be a special needs group technically. Mm-hmm. And then boom, we're off on the high seas, and then we have to do everything in reverse when we get back, minus the post-night hotel. We're not doing that. The flights would be coordinated. So, but with that, you have group air to coordinate with as well. And that's where Archer comes in.
Big saver.
Yes, and we charge, the only service fee that we charge is $50 a person. So that is the only additional service fee that we charge. And that is only because Archer charges us $25 per person for group air. Okay. And then that way we're getting a little bit prior to the trip to cover our own expenses. Because what Andrea asked, do we plan on traveling on the cruises? Yes, we do. All three of us are going on these cruises. The reason why we do this, and this was all an agreement immediately, especially for Special Olympics, is that we want to be there to make sure that every little thing is going right. We don't want any travel hiccups to delay anything, because these are special needs clients. I'm a special needs travel professional, certified travel professional. Derek, I believe, has taken the training, or he's going to. Harvey has taken the training. I'm also a certified autism travel professional, so I'm the one out of the three in the group that has taken that training. I'm also the only one in the state of South Dakota. Leah is too, yes, because Leah took that on my recommendation. So that's why we have that additional training as well. So, and plus, this is a large group for us, guys. We want to be there to be on site to make sure we have no issues, so that we can be the on-site liaison between the bus companies, the airlines, the hotel, and the cruise line. It's not, it's a vacation for us, but it truly isn't, because we are truly going to be working the entire time.
Well, and once they see your face and physically put a face to a name and see you trying, even if it doesn't go exactly how you want it, they see you trying and they see you taking care of it. And then even if it messes up a little bit, you're gaining trust in them because they're seeing that you are trying to make it right for them so they don't have to.
Yep. That's a really good point, Harvey. And so the only extra fees that we charge is that additional $25. And we have the discretion to waive 20 or that extra 50. But again, 25 of that goes to Archer, 25 goes to us. And we have the discretion to waive that additional 25 in the case of financial assistance necessary. And we work with folks. So
an ad hoc or case by case basis, like you said, discretion.
Yep. And we get that information. So in the case of Special Olympics, we get that information from Special Olympics who may need that assistance. So, but everything else is made off of straight commissions from the suppliers. So from the bus companies, the hotel, the group hotels, and the cruise line. And if you have 100 cabins full guys at 16%, those commissions on the cruise alone, what did we estimate, guys, on South Dakota? It was what, 85,000 minimum?
Yeah, I think it was.
Or no, it was higher. It was up in the one.
I think when you would split it, it would end up being about 43,000.
Yeah, it was 43,000 each.
What it would end up being, and that didn't include
the insurance, the excursions.
Hotel.
Yeah, insurance excursions were not included in that count because we couldn't do that. But with bus and hotel, guys, we were looking anywhere. We were looking at roughly between 40 and 50,000 a person on our split after the 80-20 split with Archer. And that all gets paid out to one person, and then that one person distributes it to the other two people of the group. So it would have been coming out to me, because I was the primary travel agent on the group. So that gives me my IATAN card, obviously. And it helps us in that sense as well, attaining IATAN, because I'm the only one in the group that doesn't have it right now. And then we distribute it to the other two members of the group. So
with that being said, make sure you have somebody you trust and make sure that there's a contract
That's
written up
right.
as well.
And that's on the low end, guys. So I mean, with North Carolina, what were your numbers saying for athletes just in the Triangle area, Harvey?
I believe in just in the triangle alone, I think it was close to seven. I think there was 7,000
Yeah, and
somewhere
we only had
like that.
we only have 3,500. No, we don't even have that. We only have like 2,000 athletes in the entire state of South Dakota.
Yep. I believe the total state of North Carolina had something like 13,000.
Yep.
Okay, so I mean, basically,
Florida was
if
even
we were
bigger.
to get something
Yeah,
like
Florida
that
was
going,
45,000.
yeah.
Yeah, I
So
remember that number.
yeah, so you guys can see that this can be a big moneymaker for you. It can be a big impact financially for these nonprofits. And it can be a very big marketing boost for your business as well. Okay, because of the goodwill gestures, and it can show that you are concerned, and you not even concerned, but you want to give back to your communities.
Another point that would be applicable in this case, maybe not every nonprofit, but would be the Autism on the Seas. They also pay an additional 10%
Yes.
commission to us as well for the families and people the athletes that would need and take advantage of that as well. So on top of the bus, the hotels, the 16% that Royal pays out, you get an additional 10% from autism for the families that take
Yep.
advantage of that service too.
Plus the insurance, which we make mandatory
Yep.
on these cruises that we do. So you have to purchase insurance through Tin Leg, which, guys, remember, is 18% commission. And then any optional excursions that they want to set up as well.
Which if you're talking about it, we'd say a base for like a family of four, if they were to do a $3,000 cruise for four people, flights would probably cost what, around another 1,300.
Yeah, let's just go with that number. That sounds
So
Yeah.
good.
we'll go another 1,300. You would be looking at, they would probably be spending, you'd put the insurance for something like $6,000, you'd say 6,000 total for
No,
insurance claim.
No, to
no
cover
way.
costs, flights and
No
stuff.
way. 400 or 500 max.
$400 or $500. No,
Max.
I'm talking about the coverage, not how much you would pay,
But
because
it's what you
you
pay.
would,
But it's what
because
you
you would
pay.
pay, yeah, you would pay maybe,
500.
yeah, about 500. So you're looking at each one of those, you're getting about $50 out of that.
Yeah.
You you'd end up getting about $50 in insurance policy. So if you had 100 cabins,
Yeah.
so that's where you're kind of breaking it down for that as
Yeah.
well.
No, I see.
That,
Now I see where you're going.
that's that extra money with that as well. And it's
Yep.
going to save everybody.
For
Yeah.
sure.
So, what questions do you guys have? I mean, that's pretty much what we wanted to talk about, but you could do this for any type of nonprofit that you guys have. Okay, bye. Thanks, Brandon. But okay, perfect, Mary. So you're with Jody then.
Chicago.
Yep. So what questions do you guys have for us about this? Or anything that we've talked about this afternoon and evening? And you guys could unmute. Please feel free to unmute for your questions.
Yeah, because Mark doesn't like to hear us talk.
That's right. Well, I don't like to hear myself talk. I don't know about the other two.
Could have fooled me. That boy was rambling against
Oh, hush,
the
Harvey.
girl, boy. I ended up having to do like I did earlier, Derek. I went ahead, I was sitting there, and the next thing you know, I just did a little
Yep, I saw. His new nickname's going to be Monologuing Mark.
Thanks,
Monologue and
guys.
Mark.
Kathy, so that's a good question. How far out would you look at booking the cruise? We are actually looking at 2027. So you want to give folks time to pay the deposits and make payments on that cruise. Because remember, depending on the cruise line, usually it's 120 days prior where the final payment date is due. So you want to look as far out as you can, honestly. So I would say,
And
so like
another
for what
thing,
we're
Royal's
doing,
got like preset itineraries with dates also that you can take a look at on their website.
Mhm.
That way you can kind of choose which one's best for you, which one would be best for the nonprofit, kind of closest if possible, to work for that airfare logistics stuff to try and help keep costs down as well. Uh, I think they do have some out of, yeah, Port Canaveral for sure, Galveston, uh, New Orleans maybe. Was that one of them? Can't
New
remember.
Orleans, you've got Tampa, you've got Fort Lauderdale, and you've got Miami too, Dawn. It depends on it also depends on the target market. So I mean, if you're like looking at just adults only, if you're looking at families, because remember, Royal goes out of Miami with Icons, and they go out Port Canaveral with Star. I just spoke with somebody who's in a fans group of for the University of Virginia, who is currently on Star's inaugural sailing and is absolutely loving it, or her second sailing out of Port, Canaveral, excuse me. Says she absolutely is breathtaking by it. But you've got Royal goes out of Miami. You've got Virgin if it's an adults only group that you're looking at going out of Miami. So you got to look at the number of days that they want to be gone. Those Dominican days or those fire and ice or soirees are really nice. Or you've got the 7 day cruises on Virgin. Disney, you could get out a little bit cheaper if it's family out of Fort Lauderdale on the Treasure. So, I mean, you've got a lot of options there in Florida. So take a look at your target market for those cruises and make a decision that way and look at the other cruise lines out of the smaller cruise ports too.
Absolutely.
Arlene,
And
so coordinating flights and transfers, that's a good one. Now, if it's going to be everybody going as a full group, so like in our case with Special Olympics, yes, we try to keep everybody flying together as much as possible because we don't want, because especially with it being special needs folks, we don't want them flying alone. We want to get everybody together as much as possible. But if it's independent folks flying to meet up on the same one or on the same cruise or type of trip, then you don't have to really coordinate it that way. If people in the same group end up on the same flights, great. But if you wanted to set up a group room block in the port city, that would be a really nice thing to do. That way, folks flying from different areas who may not know each other could meet up and maybe do a small little hello, how do you do
Mhm.
type of reception, something like that. That would be
And
a
that,
really cool idea as well.
the wrestling cruise that I go on, that's what they do is they have a and they don't even know if anybody is really staying at the hotel. But what they'll do is they'll stay at a hotel near the port, and then they actually go on the Facebook groups and they say, "Hey, we're having a get together here. If you're on here, be sure to swing by." And every time me and my wife have been, they actually not only do that, but they also have posters and things like that that they will put up when they get there across the town. They'll just staple it on poles and stuff. So That's also another way to, find that type of stuff.
And another thing for group cruises, whether it's for a nonprofit or not, make sure all of the bookings are linked together if you're going to do that group stuff. That way, when you work with, the cruise line, they can try to coordinate everybody to get on the same flight if it's small enough to not have to use Archer. And then if somebody's coming from a different airport, then they can just do that in the individual booking like a regular individual booking, and then
Mhm.
you meet them when they get there. I'm doing that for the one I'm going to Alaska next summer. My wife and I it's a working trip, but we're treating it as our honeymoon too, belated honeymoon. And as of right now, we've got everybody coming out of the same airport. I'm setting up a bus to pick us all up at one location, take us up to Minneapolis, fly to Seattle the day before, stay at the Crown Plaza, board the Star Princess, and then take off.
Dang,
Crown
dang.
plazas are nice.
Hmm.
I love them.
Dawn said, should I start with my BDM for the cruise lines, MSC, RC, and Virgin?
Yes, yes, and yes. However, try to start with our national BDMs. Well, with Virgin, I would start with your regional. MSC, start with our national because he's new, and Royal Caribbean, go with Peggy. If you can get a hold of her, I've been trying to get a hold of her for this one because
So,
getting a hold of Randy Rout, our national BDM, is tough, very, very tough. So,
But another good rule of thumb, Dawn, is, and they say this a lot in the wrestling business, the squeaky wheel gets the
it's the
grease.
grease.
So make sure if they haven't contacted you to just keep contacting, because whether they contact you out of spite or because they want to, guess what? They're getting in contact with you.
exactly right. Great point.
Hey, gentlemen, it's Leah. How are ya?
Good, Leah. What's up?
Hey, I just wanted to jump in because I've been looking through the comments, and so many people are very excited about jumping on the ball with what y'all have been training on. This has been amazing, by the way, and I really treasure all of it. I think for the most part, people are asking about a step-by-step process or how do you go about it. I did a quick comment that said it's really just a conversation. So, how would you just kind of let people know to go about reaching out and what they should do the next steps?
Yep. So we're all going to put our contact information into the chat. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and start with mine. Harvey, Derek, if you guys could put yours in as well.
You don't have
And
mine from
Harvey,
last
don't
night?
forget your Facebook is facebook.com/the
The
Harvey
Harvey
Wall.
Wall. That's right.
I had to actually look it up for him yesterday, Derek.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah. Yes, it is. But you guys can reach out to any one of us about this, and we'd be more than happy to talk to you guys about it. And I will make sure to put at least my contact information into the YouTube video. I did post my YouTube where it is going to be uploaded to here in just a little while. But make sure to friend or follow us on Facebook as well, guys. Um, if you guys can put your Facebook in there, Derek, as well, Harvey Wall.
I'm trying, yeah, technology, man. Like I said, I'm
I know,
AD.
Derek. You want me to put yours in there? I can grab it quick.
If you want,
Yeah, I
otherwise,
can do
I
it.
can fumble around and do it.
Yeah, I'm grabbing it right now, buddy.
The Indiana Jones hat. That's why you didn't know technology. You just know a whip.
That's right.
Okay,
Listen
here's
to
Derek's
listen.
Facebook, so you guys can friend or follow him as well. But yeah, so yeah, we're all three of us are willing to help you guys out. Again, the recording of this will be in my YouTube page, and I will be posting it to the Rising Tide and Empire team chats, and I will also be posting the recording in the Evolution Enterprise page as well. So yes, Harvey.
So also, again, kind of answered Leah's question, and at the same time, it didn't. It's because we don't have the full step by step. We have bits and pieces of it. But
Yeah.
once it does come all together, then we'll make sure that we can give it to y'all. That's why I was saying, well, that's why one Mark was saying it's on a case to case situation. But when we get the pieces, just like the presentation he was talking about, if we can get a overall presentation, he can keep that and then send that out so that way y'all can just kind of fill in the blanks.
Yeah,
And
and we'll probably end up doing this training again here in December, is what my
yeah,
thought is, once we have things more solidified. Because
And
we're
we could
working
always
on a
put it
couple of
into
other
the
things as
Empire
well right now.
or the evolution page possibly too.
Yeah, I'll work with Jose on that one and see what we can do for
no
that.
problem.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah, I
So,
like that.
but yeah, are there any other last minute questions, guys, before we wrap this up? I know we're at the top of the hour now, so
Man, that went fast.
yeah, it did.
So it happens when
Time,
you're having fun.
time flies, baby.
That's
Ba,
right.
ba, ba,
All right,
ba,
guys. Well, thank you
ba.
all very much for being here. Again, my name is Mark Krebs. This is Derek Juhl and Harvey Wall. Thank you for being here. Have a great rest of your evening.